Shalom, shalom, family. This is Or Ibri, author of Making Your Enemy Your Footstool, investor and consultant. And I'm coming to you today with a video about Black Wall Street. Now, most of us, I don't know, I'm sorry, I won't say most of us. A lot of people know that today, May 31st, 2021, is the 100-year anniversary of Black Wall Street. Those of y'all who know me, know my story, know my book, know that in my book I talked about Black Wall Street. For those of y'all who know my story, you know the starting point of me writing my book was the story of Black Wall Street. So with the story of Black Wall Street, aka Greenhaven, most of us know the story. Most of us know what was told to us, which was a group of white people went into Black Wall Street and burnt it down and blew it up and dropped bombs on it and burnt it to the ground. And that's what we think we know. But the reason why I put the story in my book is because I wanted us to know the truth, because this is what I've learned. We get told half truths of the story and we're thinking, oh, we're learning about our history. No, what the individuals who perpetrate history tell us are stories to keep us operating in fear. So that's what we get told about Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street, as some of us know, started off as a black boy in the elevator, had been accused of trying to rape a white girl. His hand accidentally touched her hand in the elevator. She said he tried to rape her, whatever. They arrested him. A group of black men went down to the jailhouse that night to stand guard because they were afraid that white men were going to pull the boy out of the jail and lynch him. A group of white men came. This is all in the area. This is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black Wall Street area, or the segregated part of Tulsa, was called Greenhaven. So in the area around Greenhaven, the white people came up there because they had an issue with the fact that black men had guns and they were up at the court. That they had guns. They were up at the courthouse. They had an issue that these black men had weapons. One of the white men tried to take a gun from one of the black men. A struggle ensued, and then a shootout ensued. A fight broke out. People were shot, killed. That then caused the white people to go and start pulling black people out of their homes, burning homes down, burning businesses down. They were riding around in a little crop duster plane, dropping Mazatovs from the plane on the buildings and on the houses and in the yards. They created a mini quote-unquote internment camp where they were putting black people in the internment camp, taking them out of their house. All different atrocities, all terrible. Some of the black people actually did fight back. They actually took up arms and they were shooting back, defending themselves. So not everyone went peacefully into an internment camp. Not everyone ran fearing for their life, scared to what was going on. Some people actually took up arms and fought back. That was that. Next morning, all of the majority of Greenhaven had been burnt down, destroyed, all of those things. So then the city of Tulsa tried to create laws later on when that wasn't, I'm sorry, let me not fast forward too fast. That was not the end of Black Wall Street. That was not the end of Greenhaven. But that's the part of the story where everyone stops at. Everyone thinks they burnt Greenhaven to the ground, aka Black Wall Street, and that was it. There was never another Greenhaven, aka Black Wall Street. Wrong. What actually happened was black people immediately came back. Lawyers came in, people came in and were rebuilding the city. These people were sleeping in tents, rebuilding their city. The city of Tulsa tried to enact ordinances that said any building or structure that was 2 stories or higher had to have certain fireproof materials and everything. The lawyers took the case all the way up to the Supreme Court. I'm sorry. Buildings had to be fireproof or whatever. Lawyers took the case all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled that that was unconstitutional. So black people were able to rebuild their buildings. So black people rebuilt Greenhaven, aka Black Wall Street. They rebuilt Greenhaven so well that you didn't even know that it had happened. And when you go and you looked at the area, no one ever knew that the town, that part of town, had been burned down. And if you weren't told about the story, you would have never known it had happened just looking at the place. And it was and they had built it back up so prevalently that it actually became more prosperous than it was before. famous artists like Louis Armstrong, a lot of other black famous artists at that time. They came in and they started performing more. Some national Negro conferences some national Negro organizations were holding their conferences there. All of these great things happened. Now, we don't get told that part, but it's two main things that actually killed Greenhaven. These are the two things we aren't taught, and these were the two things that I wanted people to know, specifically the last one, on what actually happened to Black Wall Street. So the first one was they built the interstate system through the northern part of Tulsa, Oklahoma, aka Greenhaven, aka Black Wall Street. So that caused a lot of disenfranchisement. But the main thing that actually destroyed Black Wall Street wasn't the bombs in 1921. It was desegregation in the 60s. That's what killed Black Wall Street. Because all of our people then who had money took their money and they went and they started spending it with white people. Well, if you take the economic involvement out of an area, what happens to the area? It eventually crumbles. So it wasn't white people that killed Black Wall Street. If anything, though that incident was an atrocity, it was terrible, it was horrendous, it was horrific, that actually made Black Wall Street stronger and better. We killed Black Wall Street. Our people killed Black Wall Street because when they said, hey, you can go and spend your money with white people, instead of saying, nah, I'm going to stay here with my people, our people said, no, this is my opportunity to finally show that I can spend my money what white people, my money spend the same. It ain't about that. We don't even realize desegregation was a mental ploy. Like, it was literally a mental trick. And we fell for it. Because we wanted the white people to affirm us instead of we affirming ourselves. So we took all of our money and our resources and we took it and we gave it to them, thinking we were proving a point to them that we're just as good as they are. Here's the biggest lesson we have to learn from Black Wall Street. On this 100th anniversary of Black Wall Street, the biggest lesson that we have to learn from Black Wall Street is that we have to stop trying to equate ourselves to individuals who we're not equal to. That's what we have to do. We have to affirm ourselves. Every group of people has what they're great at and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. We have to stop trying to be equal with individuals who we are unequal to. And I'm not going to sit here and say we're better, we're worse. I'm not on that. I'm simply on, we were created for a specific purpose. They were created for a specific purpose. Why do we keep trying to equate our worth to their equation of worth? We're not them. They're not us. Why do we keep trying to make them be a part of us? Like, we need to be us and allow them to be them. And that's any group of individuals. We want to be like everybody else as opposed to being like ourselves. That's what destroyed Black Wall Street. We wanted to be somebody else instead of being us. Now, certain things in this country that we could not control. There were certain atrocities that happened to us that in the moment we could not control. When you're operating in fear and terror and trauma, it's certainly like you ball up. And people are, why we don't fight back? Because we're traumatized. The last line of defense in the body for trauma is the literally go limp, so you don't physically feel the pain. When your fight or flight or freeze mechanism malfunctions, and ours has been malfunctioning because if we fight back, we feel like we're gonna be destroyed. We feel like we can't run, and so the last thing left for us to do as trauma victims is for you to literally lay down and allow all the feeling to leave your body so that with a perpetrator that is abusing you, with their abuse, you won't physically feel. And that's where we're at right now. But we have to realize what type of trauma we are and how to react to the trauma in order to heal the trauma, in order to properly defend it. Ain't as easy as just fighting back. There are innate things in your brain that functions that your brain subconsciously shuts off that you can't do anything about consciously, especially if that's how you were trained. And you've been trained not for 400 years, but for thousands of years to let your enemy smack you across the face. So subconsciously, what do you think you're going to do? You've been trained for thousands of years to turn the other cheek. So what do you think you're going to do subconsciously when you get into that type of situation? You're going to fold every time. You have to reprogram yourself. And we have to reprogram ourselves. And getting back on topic, I'm sorry I went off on the tangent, but getting back on topic, we have to realize that the detriment of our people started when we were trying to be like somebody else. And that's going on to this day right now. We still marching in the street. We're not equal to them. We are a totally different entity. Like one does not equal to two. They're one entity, we're another entity. It's literally with that math problem, one equal sign, line through the equal sign, another number. That's what we are. We have to stop trying to find being equal and go create our own. Do for ourselves. And there are avenues and there are ways to do it, but you can't do it if you aren't taking in the proper information. If the information you're taking in is information of destruction, how can you ever build yourself up? Y'all don't think it's a coincidence that the mainstream music that gets pushed to us is music filled with pain and trauma? And self-destruction and catastrophes and atrocities? There's no other group of individuals in America who their main music that gets pushed to them is music of death and destruction. We're the only ones. You don't think that's by design? You think that, we just talking about how we was raised in the hood. Man, bump that. How you supposed to heal me from my trauma, continuously reminding me of my trauma? You ain't telling me how to get out of it. You just keep poking me with it. How does that help? It doesn't. But when you allow another group of people to control who you are and what you do because you keep trying to be equal to them, so they say, okay, fine, you want to be equal to us? This is what you're going to do. 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 And we keep falling for it like dummies. So if we want to stop, because guess what? Tulsa 1921 is still going on today in 2021. It's on a wider scale. But it's because we keep allowing it. Because we keep trying to equate ourselves to individuals who we should not be trying to equate ourselves to. Even if we go back to our ancestors, all of us came from different villages, different parts of the country in Africa, West, East, North, South Africa, Northeast Africa, aka the Middle East. All of us came from these different areas. And guess what? We understood that we were separate. Like this tribe and this tribe, we're not the same. But that didn't make us hate one another. Like we could live cohesively, understanding that, hey, they do things a little different than we do over here, and that's okay. But this tribe wasn't trying to make themselves equal to that tribe, and that tribe wasn't trying to make themselves equal to that tribe. Yes, you have border disputes. Yes, you had border wars. Yes, tribes did fight. We won one big kumbaya. Yes, tribes did fight. But this tribe wasn't, please, you got to make us like y'all. No, they were just their own authentic self. And guess what? This tribe may have had different things because they had different resources. And this tribe may have had different things because they had different resources. But this tribe wasn't over here trying to be like this tribe because they had different resources. What's your resource? Figure out your resource. And stand on that and build your own greatness off your resource. Quit trying to, because you like what resources they got. You have resources too. We just don't focus on trying to figure out what our resources are. And I guarantee you whatever our resources are much greater than any resource that anybody else has, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be going through the attacks that we're going through. The greatness that is in us has to be so great that it scares everyone else on this planet, because if not, we would not be going through the stuff that we're going through. You don't beat something down and tear something down that's worthless. You don't. If it's worthless, you just let it be worthless and it destroys itself. You don't purposely implant worthlessness into something that's not worthless, that's already worthless. You just let it be worthless. But we've been told we've been worthless and been torn down and stripped down. Why? Because there's something in us that's so great that if we ever figure it out, it's something that modern history has not seen. And it scares other groups of people because it's something way more fathomable than ever thought of before. So figure out what that is with With that, I say peace and shalom. This is Or Ibri.